So before I start pushing this YouTube page a lot more and documenting my story and my journey from 0 to 20k months, I thought I would give you extremely raw footage of my story. I'm literally sitting in a park bench in Manchester right now with this as my background. And like I said, with this page, I want to be as authentic as possible. So let's jump back a couple of years to what kind of brought me to where I am today. I moved here when I was 18 years old for university, and looking back, I literally came here for all the wrong reasons. When I was growing up, I was always a bit of an athlete, involved in all the sports that you can think of, mainly boxing and football. Was mad in love with the gym, but as you grow up, the distractions start to come into place, the drinking, the partying, the girls. So once I kind of put my foot in that, there was no going back. I just went all in. I've always had a bit of a problem with addictive personality. So I ended up coming to Manchester for all the wrong reasons. When I actually look back, it was literally, I came here to party. From 18 to 22, was in university, partying away, hanging around with the wrong people, literally nearly failed my university degree because I was just there to party. And then I decided, right, I want to go away to Australia and travel around Asia. That trip got cut short 12 days before we were supposed to fly because of COVID. Looking back and reflecting, that was probably the best thing that could have happened to me, because I would have went there and made an absolute mess of my life and myself, because I was really heavily involved with drinking and taking drugs and was kind of spiraling out of control. But in this time frame, I actually moved back to Belfast, my hometown, before I was going to go away traveling. And then when I realized that the trip was cancelled, that's when I knew I had to come back to Manchester. And throughout the time of COVID, that's when I started to really dive into personal development. And I thought coming back to Manchester was going to be like, I'm going to remove myself from distractions, I'm going to change. And I ended up moving back here and then just doing all the bad habits that I knew that I was trying to run away from. It was crazy. But that's when a year went by and I got heavily involved in boxing, and boxing really changed my life. And that was the thing that started to drive me out of the bad habits, because if I really wanted to take myself to the next level when I was boxing, I had to be disciplined. I couldn't be partying as much. So throughout that time I was boxing away, I started to make it one of the most important things in my life, and that's where I was putting all my energy and time. Then unfortunately I suffered a brain bleed from boxing, and that meant that I had to cut my amateur boxing career short. And this is where I went all in on personal development, because I was down in the dumps. I'd hit rock bottom. I didn't have much money. My first business had failed. I was like, where do I go from here? And I knew that I'd spent a lot of time working in sales. I knew that fitness was being the main pillar of my life that I've only ever really cared about or been slightly consistent with throughout all the mess and the partying. So I decided to merge the two together, and I started the 75 hard challenge and just documented my journey. And that's when I started to go all in on the personal development. Realized that ever since I had the injury, that drinking and taking drugs just was not the same. It wasn't serving a purpose in my life. And I just really went all in on personal development, reading all the books. 75 hard challenge changed my life, and just started doing things that I knew were adding value to my life, not taking away from it. So as I started to document the journey, I thought to myself, how can I monetize this? And that's when I reached out to a mentor, the coach's mentorship that has absolutely changed my life. So yeah, from 18 to 26, where we are now, it's been crazy. Don't get me wrong, I've done a lot of good things in my life. That story sounds extremely negative, but even though things were always a bit crazy and chaotic, I did do a lot of things in my life where I have had success. In my last business, I did make a lot of money, but running into money young made me party it all away, because I just didn't have the discipline on what to do with that sort of money. And I did some amazing things in fitness, and I made some amazing friends and people along the way, and learned a lot of skills in the sales industry that's made me the man that I am today. So yeah, the most successful people who I've followed in the world, and the podcasts and the stories that I've watched, they've all had trials and tribulations that led them to where they are today. And if you are a young man and this story has resonated with you and it sounds familiar, listen, if I can change, you most certainly can. Here I am, 1 year and 2 months into this new business, seeing results, making profit, and 10 months sober, dialed in, all in on personal development. All it took was realizing that I had to change, surrounding myself with people who I want to be with and be like, not the people who are holding you back in life, putting a plan in place and actually sticking to it and being consistent. If you are a man of your word, promise yourself that you're going to escape from this old life that you're living and just don't go back to it. The universe is a very given place. If you go all in and put your time and effort into something that you truly want to work hard at, you will reap the results. Listen, if you feel like you can gain value from following me and it sounds familiar, please drop me a follow, reach out on my Instagram. Fill in the link below if you feel like you want to be coached by me. Let's see how far we can go in this life and let's make it a success.